The moment has arrived. Welcome to a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForest. The handsome gentleman over there is one Mike Jones. Very excited, Mike Jones, as we had week 0 of the college football season. Many other things that you could have pursued in terms of trying to find that big jackpot score that you're looking for, that get-out score. As we often say, I don't think anybody should not spend at least a fraction of their day from the time they wake up thinking about a way to beat the system. You may have found it through your wagering over the weekend. We certainly hope so. But if not, we're here to help you try to achieve that goal and finally be able to kiss that job goodbye and make a big score on some kind of wagering. We do have a lot of activity all across the board all week long, including week 1 of the college football season, which starts with some blockbusters. We're 2 weeks away from the National Football League getting underway, which we didn't really have any conclusive, definitive opinions about the preseason. I don't know that you really could have made any great judgment, except that I know you, Mr. Big Gunner podcast, with your New York Giants, are probably hoping somebody makes an offer that they can't refuse for Jameis Winston. So that you could keep your Tommy DeVito around, who lit it up. You talk about a guy that's trying to put some tape together for another team. Goes 17 for 20 as the Giants complete an undefeated preseason. Which I don't know. Is that a bad omen, Mike Jones? Well, what do you think? How are you, by the way? And hopefully had a big weekend.
I'm good. We're jumping in with the Giants, my favorite topic. So I'll say this. So a team wins by an average of 20 points or more in the 3 preseason games. It's happened 8 times since 2009.
Okay.
All 8 teams made the playoffs. 2 of them won the Super Bowl. Average 11.5 wins per year. So if the stats fall and the history tells, we should have a pretty good year. But I see something different with this team, but the interesting part of this is, do we have 4 quarterbacks? Do we keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster? Do we try to deal one? And you look around Miami, looked at, watching the Dolphins, Zach Wilson, and, Quinn Ewers struggled a little bit. Will Tommy DeVito be a fit there? Is Tommy DeVito the guy that New Orleans has, might need a backup quarterback? Jacksonville looked like I know they're happy with one of their guys, but Wolford looked like he struggled. That's the whole thing. And now there's talk on with the the Twitter people and all that about up and, back and forth. Do we keep 4 quarterbacks and try to figure out to put DeVito on a practice squad? But I think what'll happen is he'll get picked up. So it's hard now because once you make the moves for waivers, it's hard to make a trade because you'd have to hold the guy on your roster, take up that roster spot week 1, and then have to trade him. So it'll be an interesting move to see what they do. But yeah, it's nice to see. They're all scoring, they're playing well, they're getting along. People are saying don't break up the quarterback room. These teams talk about culture, culture in basketball. Giants are trying to develop that, and I think that's going to take them, a ways. I've seen a lot of emotion on that sidelines that I didn't see since I tried to stir it up in 1984, and it's fun to watch. I mean, I brought back memories of mine at the Malik neighbors jumping on the field and meeting Jackson Dart. The backup quarterback probably day 1. You don't see a lot of that, with the emotion the Giants are having. So maybe we're starving for wins. Maybe we're trying to excite the fan base. But so far, so good.
I hope reality doesn't slam you in the face like a sledgehammer. Because teams that were bad the year before that go undefeated in the preseason routinely get to the regular season and lay an egg, especially out of the chute. So we shall see. 4 quarterbacks seems like a bad idea only because the Browns are doing it. And in this era where you have the 53 roster spots and you can only activate, is it still 47 that you can activate?
Yes.
Or did they eventually come to their senses and realize that was just a travesty to the poor guys that had to sit in the stands in street clothes and an embarrassment for guys who were actually on the squad? The 4th quarterback seems like a big mistake when you're looking for depth and trying to have maybe one extra guy on special teams that might make a difference, even though special teams play, for the most part, has been diminished, no matter how many times they try to screw with the kickoff format. It's not as important. I don't know if it's still a third of the game like people used to ascribe to special teams plays, but I don't know. I think you have to get rid of somebody.
Yeah.
Tommy Cutlets was a Linsanity type of story in New York, and he's still big news after going 17 for 20. But outside of a few things like that, I don't know that there was anything overwhelmingly definitive about the preseason. The over players prospered this year. I think numbers held up.
Yeah.
In general, it was like a 75% over going into this week, and as far as I could see, there were some pretty lofty scores. So
Yeah.
all of the people that cashed on the unders, I hope you reversed your strategies and went with the overs this year. And if you did that, and you also followed tradition, which was broken last year, but John Harbaugh always wins preseason games, and the Ravens at 3-0. You could have gone ahead and cashed the ticket
Sure.
each week, as they dominated their preseason play as well.
Yeah.
All right, this was interesting for me because nobody over the weekend has been a bigger Bunsen burner for cash than Tommy Fleetwood Mac on the golf tour. I use Tommy Fleetwood all the time. He's always there or thereabouts. I'm not sure the exact numbers on the stat, but he had the most top 5 finishes of any golfer in PGA Tour history without having a victory. This was like one of those Phil Mickelson things before he had won his first major, where he was the best golfer never to win a major. This guy was the best golfer never to win a tournament. Or so it seemed. And then he had that meltdown, the Van de Velde-like meltdown, where he's up 3 with 2 holes to play a few weeks ago.
Right.
He was 0 for 163 starts on the PGA Tour going into the FedEx Championship. Mike, you're an opportunist. If you're going to win, why not win when the purse for the winner is $10 million?
Yep. Good
3
move on
times what it would be if he won one of the major tournaments. So not a bad distinction for Fleetwood, and seemed to be extremely well received by the sporting public.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of the players, especially European players, looking over at him and, kind of happy, let out a little emotion. We win. It's a nice win. Got a lot of text messages from my guys, happy to see it. So he's a likable guy and, good. But I think the real statement here is set it up for the Ryder Cup. Get the Brit. They come in there and win one right over to all the Americans that are fighting for their spots through this, FedEx Cup playoffs. And here comes the guy getting his first win at an opportune time with a month from the Ryder Cup. So add a little bit of drama to Bethpage Black. Tommy Fleetwood's one of your now leaders on the European team. So I think it'll be a fun lead up to what they think, what he has to answer. It'll be talking to him a little bit more than they've had in the past now. It'll be one of the leaders next to Rory. Be very interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch when we get to late September.
So we get a playing captain there and Keegan Bradley. I mean, the guy had a nice show.
You know what? They're talking about this morning. I was listening to the golf podcast that those guys do, and they're saying he's got a big decision to make. Is it Ben Griffin? Is it him? I mean, to me, it'd be fascinating to see him pick himself because I just think it'd be different. I think you're a captain. You should step away, be the captain, pressure on you, stick with what happens. Don't worry about the golf. I just think if it is, Keegan Bradley doesn't seem like that kind of guy, but if it is, it's going to be ego in the middle that he really wants to play more than he wants to captain it. That which could be true. The guys might want. They're getting younger and younger with these captains now. Guy still got game. He's a great player, so it's like
having a good year. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if he picks himself, I won't even have an issue. It won't bother me if he does or not. But
nobody's done it since Arnie back in like the 60s. I was never a big Ryder Cup guy. I always thought it was a lot of bullshit. It was something that was fabricated for Ken Venturi to have some sort of commentary, and it was always interesting. You would be watching a golf telecast, and Venturi would be the color analyst in the booth, and he'd always be alluding to, well, this putt's very important for Ryder Cup points.
Right.
And I'm thinking, fuck you, Ken. You got to be kidding me, man. Nobody gives a shit about the Ryder Cup. This guy's putting for $500,000 right here.
They can't say that.
That would be the consideration.
That's what Live Golf's got to do. What is this for? We get on the putt. When I was on there putting for, I'm sitting there looking at my par putt on 18 from about 7 feet, and I'm calculating all my individual matches and all that stuff. I said, Jesus, this is for $400 this putt.
Exactly.
So I get up there and I think about it as I may go up and make it, and it makes the 3-footer interesting for me in my stupid gambling games.
Yeah.
Forget about what these guys are going through and what they're thinking. Ryder Cup points and all that. And to me, I've had some friends that have gone to the Ryder Cup over the last decade or two, and I can tell you they love it.
People have fun, and it'll be great in New York at Bethpage Black.
Yeah.
We've seen how the fans react to everything, including last night's tennis action with your boy Medvedev.
Oh, great.
It's a crisis, and nobody's better at being an agitator. I mean, this guy's a modern-day McEnroe. Although I believe he's admitted that he does it by design. He may be out of control. He may actually have a chromosome loose that when he's competing, he just decides to be an asshole. But the fans that used to despise Medvedev in New York eventually came around and became Medvedev fans. He has been way off form. He's now exited 3 straight Grand Slam tournaments in the opening round. This guy Bonzi has him in a match point. I don't know if you saw this. I happen to be watching it.
Yeah.
has a match point. Some photographer comes out of the photography well there and runs out on the court after Bonzi had made his first serve attempt, which was already in the bottom of the net before the guy came out there. Now, common courtesy, you play some tennis, Mike. I know I do. I'll be out there competing in the Alzheimer's Cup tonight against my 74-year-old immobile friend. And some guy from the court next to you hits a ball behind you, and then you have to chase it. You've already served your first serve. Out of common courtesy, because there was a delay, you would probably yell across the net, go ahead and take two, right? You
Maybe.
go ahead and give the guy another serve. Now, I guess it is a rule if there is some kind of impediment to the guy being able to serve his second serve within a reasonable time frame because of this intrusion on the court, that he would be awarded a first serve. So Medvedev makes a big deal out of that. I don't know. Did you catch this?
I saw it this morning. It was my wife told me about the news. I didn't see it. I was watching the match and
Insane.
I missed this. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. And my thought is this: I see the point for the player. It's match point. He's down, basically at a position of death. On the death of the court.
Yeah, exactly.
And they changed the service game. So not knowing that particular rule that you just stated, it would make me back off a little bit. But I was kind of on the side with him, and he just waved his hands to the crowd because he got him, and it seemed to lift him up. I like the action by himself, getting the crowd riled up. I mean, and that's a New York crowd. They want to do that. The Yankees stink. The Mets stink. They need something to get riled up, let out emotion. And here you go to a tennis match, and you got the player waving you on, saying, "Come on." And so you kind of look at it like, point. It seemed to get him juiced up a little bit. Obviously, he broke him. So,
well, wouldn't that have been the time to send it in on Medvedev? He had to be. I mean, he's down 2-1.
Oh, he's 11-1, 13-1 probably.
Had to be enormous. Now, he ended up losing. He bagels the guy in the fourth set, which was interesting. He comes back. He wins a tiebreak in the set that they were playing. So now it's 2-1, Bonzi. Bonzi gets bageled in the fourth set, and all the momentum is on Medvedev's side. You could have scored with your in-game betting a couple of times if you had played this thing right.
Probably could have played both sides at that point. If you take Medvedev after the argument, thinking he's going to get motivated to win, you're getting 13, 15-1. And then after the 6-0, you're probably getting 3-1 with
Bonzi. Exactly.
I mean, it's just, there's going to be something to be said for this. And we're sitting here, I'm sure we'll get into it on the Bleacher Brothers, but I'll be messing around with the live trying to find an angle at one point where I'm going to have it quoted where I'll take screenshots and say we got both ends of a game where we can't lose. But yeah, you just got to find them. But yeah, that was interesting. But I didn't realize that the ref can make that call, jump back to a first serve after the disturbance after he missed it. I didn't see the timing. And I didn't even understand why the photographer was even close to the court. What was he doing?
Maybe he thought that the match was over. That's possible because first serve was bottom of the net, and this guy was ready to pounce out there and take a picture of somebody. Perhaps the winner. So yeah, he just, I think the photographer, some old fart, he was either looking for a free hot dog or he absolutely blew it. But look, awarding the guy a first serve, his first serve was in the bottom of the net, and the guy was off the court quickly enough that you could have gone ahead and made the guy fire a second serve.
Okay.
Medvedev had a little bit of a point, but I believe that is a rule that if there's some kind of disturbance like that, at that point where now you have a guy who's being iced essentially for his second serve, instead of having him just throw a second serve after a 5-minute delay or whatever, they I believe by rule award the guy a first service. They go ahead and take two. So
yeah,
that was wild.
I guess, you know what? I would bet you if it was 3-2, he wouldn't have cared. Match point, he cared. I think that was it. He's frustrated. He's the better player. He's the higher seed. He's going through what he's going through. So I think it was an interesting scenario that you won't see very often, where it's on a match point, where it's there. It's done by,
and that's his style, though. Medvedev. He says he's talked about this openly, that he will do anything to irritate and screw with the situation. And he has gone ahead and pitched fits in the past, taken off, gone into the locker room and stayed 10 minutes, even though he looked like he was fresh as a daisy in between sets. He always does something to try and get under the skin of his opponent, no matter who it is. It could be Roger Federer. It could be the most dignified guys in the game standing there. But in this case, and it did seem to rattle Bonzi, who then proceeded not only to lose that game, but to lose the set and then get bageled in the next set. So
yeah,
it comes back around, and that was that was wild from a betting standpoint. I would imagine the in-game betting was. I thought about you immediately. I was thinking, wow, okay, after this commotion, this would be the time to go ahead and send something in at about 10-1 on Medvedev.
Yeah, or what you do is you take the over in games because they really won't on a
Yeah,
match point like that. The games would only be like it would be if he won that game.
yeah,
You know, like if you go if it's 6-2, 6-2, it's 8-16, and then it's 6-1 and or 5-4, and now it's like the over under would be 29. It wouldn't be like 40. You know, they're not thinking it
yeah.
would happen. They win. So there was one last night where I saw Nagashima was playing DeLong, and all of a sudden I saw after Nagashima won, it was like Nagashima had to win the next set to get the games. Like he was down 2-1, and they automatically thought he was going to win the fourth set. I guess he had been a favorite. So the line, I was like, wow. So all DeLong has got to do is win the fourth set, and the under in games work. And sure enough, it went over. You know, like watching the line, just where they set it. So they know the algorithms, and they know, like, I guess Nagashima was a favorite. They figured if he's going to win the fourth set anyway after losing the third. So very weird how they do it, but there's ways you can catch it, or maybe they trap you either way. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it turned out to be a real dogfight.
Yeah.
Went to the match tiebreaker, 10-point tiebreaker.
And didn't Bonzi walk off the court after the fourth set to play a little end game with Medvedev? I heard that he just left the court for like a medical timeout.
Medvedev had done the same thing, I think, after the second.
Okay. Yeah.
I do like a match today.
Okay.
I'm going to take a little sniff on this one, although I'm going against the hot player.
Okay, go ahead.
Which I don't know if you saw this, Victoria Mboko.
Yes.
A Canadian girl who won in Montreal, and that was a big deal. And she mowed down some real heavyweights en route to winning that championship. It's a girl that was somewhere probably in the mid-hundreds in terms of ranking, like 150 or higher. And then she's made a glorious ascent, especially with that victory. She's put herself on the map. Okay. Great stuff from her in that tournament in Montreal. But she's got an opening round match against a former slam winner, Barbara Krejcikova. And Krejcikova is a very quiet player, doesn't get a lot of fanfare, not a lot of attention. Her game is not particularly flashy, but extremely steady. She's been battling injuries for the last year or so and is finally coming back and rounding into form. You are getting plus 184 with the experienced Krejcikova against Mboko today. You're going against the girl who was on fire and taking a veteran player in that spot. But I'm inclined to maybe go ahead and make this recommendation. Krejcikova plus 184 over the upstart Mboko. Dashing a lot of people's hopes and aspirations that this girl would make a big run. And look, she's easy to root for.
Yeah.
But Krejcikova, I think, I don't know that she can be overlooked at almost 2-1. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I just looked at it, so I guess they're on to you because I see 171, not 184. So the price has dropped. So they're listening to the great Defo on his tennis knowledge.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't do this with a ton of I mean, it's not like I'm overwhelmingly confident that'll happen, but I'm thinking if you're going to take one of the two, why not take the one that's almost or was almost 2-1?
Yeah, and you're going to get a crowd support from Mboko, clearly, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
the people are going to go rally for her. So it'll just be, does she handle the moment of the pressure of the U.S. Open, what court they're on? But, there's a good possibility there. You when in doubt, take the dog. I kind of like your look at that. I think it's going to be interesting. I think Krejcikova is going to have to deal with the outside mental part of this, with the crowd being for her opponent, probably loud too. I think she'll get a lot of emotion. So we'll see. But it's a very interesting match. Now I'll look at it a little bit differently as I watch it.
Take a shot. Take a shot, Mike.
Yeah. There's shots out there to take in tennis. There's always some dogs that you want to get that you get. I think yesterday the chalk pretty much held up. Didn't really see any upsets, but I'm sure today there'll be one or two.
There was some interesting stuff. That Filipino girl, Iyala.
That was a great match. Yes,
in Indonesia.
She showed up at the Miami. Like she's been pretty competitive. She's been good. I didn't think that was that big of an upset. It was a little bit of an upset, but not that big. But you're right. That was one that you could.
Well, and that was a sign from the gods of gambling. She beat Towson, who's been playing very well during the hard-court season. I think even won the tournament. It was surprising because she was all energy, has a serve that couldn't break an egg, and managed to hold this girl off, and it was very exciting. But if you believe in signs from the gods of gambling, I just happen to be perusing channels, half-brained it in the morning, and I see a feature with John Wertheim on CBS. And of course, Wertheim's also big in tennis coverage with the Tennis Channel
Right.
and a lot of other things, 60 Minutes and all this stuff. A very good reporter. And he's doing a feature on Ayala, being the
Oh,
first
wow.
Filipino woman to get into the first round of a Grand Slam event. And so there it was, Mike. Were they not telling me to bet on this woman?
Sure. Yeah,
But
I mean,
no,
she
do I
was
do
great
it?
watching her.
Zero.
Watch her down at Miami. I mean, it was her first tour. She had been through all the academies, gone through the leads. People knew her in Florida. She had a fan base there. I thought that was really cool, like what she did. I follow her ever since that little run, like that I watched. I was down there watching her. So, yeah, she's a fun watch, doesn't have that strong serve, great ground strokes, puts pressure on you, hustles, plays hard, yeah. I mean,
Nice little dog.
yeah, and they looked at the bracket for her. Looks like you get to wear
She
something.
got a pass
Something like
in the
that.
second
Yeah,
round. Oh,
right. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be pretty good. She got Mertens in the third, and then we'll be running to Sabalenka. But we've seen Sabalenka get distracted very easy. Anything could happen there, and especially off that serve,
yeah.
you might get a Sabalenka that might jump on it all the time and hit it into the net, knock it out, try to create her own pace. I think Sabalenka has a tendency to play like that, where she likes to create her own pace, and sometimes it throws her off.
She's always vulnerable to an
Yeah.
extent, as dominant as she should be or appears to be in terms of her overall physical presence there on the court. I mean, she's throwing nothing but howitzers at the competition. All right, let's make some money. I mean,
Sure.
I don't know where you're at for tonight. We'll get into the football towards the end of the week here when you join
Okay.
us Thursday.
Yep.
A lot of Major League Baseball. You had your Red Sox win 3 out of 4 from the Yankees. You had
Yep.
to imagine the Yanks weren't going to get swept. Your
Yep.
boy Anthony Volpe can't hit. I mean, you talk about the Mendoza line. He's 1 for his last 28. Goes to the
Yep.
bench, and maybe a position where he stays. He was supposed to be the next Derek Jeter, year number 3. He's staggering around there, and certainly is a suspect aspect of Yankees play this year. Anything stand out to you? Because you have all kinds of activity,
Yeah.
including Phillies Mets, which is big for the Mets, trying to hang in there in the wild card chase.
Right.
And we just saw the Padres and the Dodgers go at it. They're in a dead heat. What do you make of the baseball slate tonight?
Baseball slate tonight looks pretty interesting. I kind of lean a little bit toward the Brewers after blowing a 3-2 lead in the ninth inning yesterday. Brandon Woodruff, who's been great coming off the DL against Rodriguez, who's pitched better in his last starts, laying 172. Just think the Diamondbacks are just one of these folders, trading the guys away at the deadline. They just look like they're a team that's coming off a couple years ago going to World Series that have kind of packed it in a little bit. So I would kind of lean a little bit of Brewers after losing 3 of 5 to the Cubs and just trying to put the hammer down to win that division. Very interesting matchup I find out at Chavez Ravine. Dodgers, after losing 2 of 3 from the Padres, which was kind of, we thought the Dodgers would take them a little bit, go in and play Hunter Green, who's got great stuff, can get it to 100. Great pitcher for the Reds. Reds getting 127 against Sheehan, who struggled a little bit. I might take a crack at the Reds, sitting there. They're not traveling much. We're in Anaheim, just right over to see the Dodgers tonight. That might be a little bit of live dog, in my opinion. Dodgers have been a disappointment to bet. They just don't hit at certain times, and you just think maybe Green guy's their number. I don't know. Throws it hard enough. I think that would be something I would look at tonight. Red Sox Orioles after the Yankee series. There was always this stat that they go out and say that you go after that big emotional series and bet opposite the next night if the teams bet, like you would bet against the Red Sox. That was a good stat that was hitting around 70% for like a decade earlier on. Haven't paid attention to it recently, but the Orioles playing all right, get a hard-fought 3-2 win. We're competitive against the Astros. You're getting a dog against a pitcher, Sagano, who's pitched a lot better, plus 102. So these are the games I'm looking at tonight. So we'll say the Orioles. We will say the Brewers and the Reds.
All right, very good. Some dogs in there on the Mike Jones card tonight. I would imagine you'll be cranked up on the big. Is Parcells going to join you on the big gunner thing tonight?
Yeah, we're trying. We're like Bill.
When's the tuna going to be on the show?
We got to get the tuna on the show. I got to get down to the Gulf Stream and just chase him down and get him to do this. Yeah, but we're feeling pretty good. Now with the cut lines tomorrow, so there'll be some interesting guys. This is one where years back you kind of knew over the last 5-6 years who the Giants were going to have on their roster.
Yeah,
there's some guys we're going to put out there that are going to be players somewhere in the league. That's what I see. We lost a very interesting injury. We had a kid who was on the bubble who had a pick 6 in the game against New England, who then blew his leg out covering a punt or kickoff or on the following later in the game, and it was a very heartfelt thing as the entire roster surrounded the cart. Again, the camaraderie of this team is really interesting. So we lost a player that was a bubble player, a DB for a year, CJ Moore. So I don't know that, it just, I don't see any big cuts. The one that I think is going to be very interesting is we paid a little bit of money, and he was the big surprise for, and he's a fantasy player and a guy we're familiar with down here. Devin Singletary, people are against me on this. I think he could be a casualty, and he'll get picked up very quickly because he's a decent back. But we have a young kid named Miller who looks like he's pretty good on third down. We drafted Scatterbo. We have Tyrone Tracy. You might want to free up a little bit of money if you're looking to make a move. So by waiving Singletary, you might get some cap relief. I think there's a possibility that we might let someone like that go. That would be the only one that I think that would be a surprise to the people who are fantasy people and Giant fans. That's one of my predictions. That's Devin Singletary. As a Brian Dable guy, could be a possibility. The FAU star that we saw play here right here in Boca for his college days.
All right, sounds good, Michael. I'm glad you're armed and ready to roll.
Great.
And your attaché full of cash handcuffed to your wrist, and you're ready to head to the local casino and or plunge on whatever app that you're betting on. And good luck with all your plays. I like the theories. Very excited. College football week number 1. After a little bit of a taste that we got. I got the taste of defeat shoved right up my ass with the Hawaii getting that last-second field goal against Stanford, who the professor had given out with plus 2.5. You lose by 3, so half a point. Once again, live by the hook and die by the hook, my friend.
That was one that I watched, and very interesting. You should not have lost that game. They were running the ball plain and simple with a ton of success, and the quarterback who had problems makes a throw for a freakish interception where the end came up and tipped the ball to himself. But again, you're getting 8 and 9 a pop. All you got to do is keep it on the ground. You're lined up for the game-winning field goal, and Stanford just basically called a play out of impatience from a coordinator, and you made a turnover with a quarterback who hadn't played that well the whole game. So I like what Frank Reich's accomplished, is about to do there. Everybody has Stanford to pick last. Don't sleep on Stanford this year. Stay with them.
Yeah, unfortunately, we started with them.
Yeah, right.
I still am trying to remove the laces from the football that got shoved right up my ass as a 38-yard field goal goes through with no time left, and it costs you the ball game by a half a point. That's welcome to the season. It's like getting spanked when you come out of the womb. Yeah. It's unbelievable. All right, Mike, you have a great one.
You too,
we'll talk again on
Thanks
Thursday.
for having me.
And thanks so much for being with us here on Bury Your Bookie. Mike Jones, ladies and gentlemen, with us here on the show. We'll be back with you again tomorrow. And, of course, we'll be leading up to all of these selections that are available there for week number 1 of the college football season, 2 weeks away from the pros. So great time of year to be a degenerate. You guys have a great day. Good luck with all your plays. For Mike Jones, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you on the next edition of Bury Your Bookie.